All right, what's the difference between the two piles of apples? And don't say it's different apples. We have 3 in one pile and 1 in one pile. What's the difference between the two piles?
There is one.
So there's 3 in this pile and there's 1 in this pile.
Yeah, so there's one, just 2 extras.
Okay, so to find out the difference, you have to find out what they have the same. They each have 1. They just don't have the extra 2. So the difference is these extra 2. What about now? What's the difference between these two piles? There's 3 in one pile and 2 in another pile.
1.
So the difference is 1. But to find out the difference, you have to find out what they have the same. So they each have 2. It's just that this one has this extra 1. So we would say 3 minus 2 is 1, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm taking all of them together on the biggest one, and I'm taking away what they have the same of to find out the difference. Okay, what about now? What's the difference between these two piles? What's the number difference? What's the difference?
These 2.
No, how many does this have?
2.
How many is in this pile?
3.
How many?
3.
Okay, so 3 minus 3 is
3.
0. There's no difference, right? There's no difference. Does that make sense? Because they're the same. They're equal, right? What about now? What's the difference between these two piles?
1.
1, because they each have 3 in common. So if I were going to write an equation for this, I would say 4 minus 3, because that's what they have the same, and I would find out that I have 1 different, right? That's what difference means. You also have to find out what's the same. So when you see difference in the question, then that always means that you're going to subtract, because you're going to subtract what they have the same. What's the difference between these two, Cole?
There's 3 on that side and 2 on that side.
There's 3 on this side and 2 on this side. So what's the difference?
In numbers.
What's the difference? Stop, Raina. The difference is I have 2 and I have 3. So I'm going to take 3 and I'm going to take away what they have the same of so that I can find out the difference. So this is 3 minus 2 is 1. Does that make sense? And it can be 300, 3,000, right? Okay. So, but I want to find out what which one has the most. Raina, stop. Which one has the most so that I can take away the smaller one, because that's what they have in common, right? The bigger number, please stop. The bigger number, right, Cole, has this in common with it, because smaller numbers, that already has 2, it just has an extra 3, an extra 1, right? So even if this is 10,000 and this is 100, well, 10,000 already has 100 in it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take the bigger number. If you see the word difference in a question, you take the bigger number and you take away the smaller number, because you already know the bigger number has the smaller number in it, right? You take the smaller number away, and then you'll find out what the difference is. Okay?